comfortable doing that? If you're comfortable, you can come as close as you want, or you can sit just wherever works for you. I might even just leave the bench over there, since this isn't going to be about necessarily like the musical part of the service. I feel like Clint and Glenda covered that pretty well. So we're going to talk about the organ itself. Oh, not to worry. So we'll start in like 3 minutes or so. There might be a couple more stragglers, but.
We could bring some chairs from
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, let's do that. Or we could pull the organ back and have people sit up here.
Either way.
That might be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Do you have room to turn it that way?
Oh, okay. Okay.
They didn't stream Clint and I. You're the most important.
So do you think we should bring chairs up to flank the sides, or just have people stand around?
There's chairs here.
A few chairs, yeah. At least a couple.
Get over here to her toys.
Oh, probably just a couple. Maybe 3 or so on each side. Yeah. Just in case people get tired after a few minutes.
We're making room for the praise band to put their guitars in there. Right? We all need a praise band.
Yeah. Happy clappy, that's the way to go. Okay, that should be enough. Thank you.
Well, yes. Is it empty? That's all I care about.
We're good.
If you have bags empty, then you did your job.
Perfect. Okay.
We have neighbors that set off fireworks until 3 o'clock.
We had some across the street.
So,
We're at 63rd and May. Which part of the city limits do you
Yeah.
not interested in?
yeah. We had no sleep at all.
Yep.
Really?
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So as I said a minute ago, I think that Clint and Glenda in the last couple of weeks covered very well the actual music that is presented during the service. So for my portion of this little series, I'm going to talk about the organ itself. So my during the week job is actually taking care of pipe organs. So I do tuning, service, any sort of maintenance, rebuilding, voicing, which I'll explain what that is here in a minute. We travel through all of Oklahoma, most of Texas, all the way down to the coastal bend, through Arkansas, out to about Little Rock. We're into New Mexico, most of Kansas. We have gone to Tucson, and I recently spent 2 weeks at the Mormon Tabernacle organ. So the organ is my whole world, for better or for worse. It's what I do all the time. So. Sure. My name is Carolyn Sargent. I'm the principal organist here at Mayflower. I've been here for just over 5 years now. I finished my master's degree in organ performance at Oklahoma City University in 2021. And started here before I finished the degree, and we're still kicking. And yeah, so during the week, I work on pipe organs throughout this region of the country. And so I thought I'd give you a little tour of the organ and the sounds that it makes, and then talk about how I use that in a service, basically which buttons to push. So we'll start with talking about all the pipes. So we have 3, technically kind of 4 organ chambers. So the chambers are the rooms where the pipes live. So we have 2 here, and those 2, you can see I left the lights on back there, but those 2 house everything, most everything. Terms and conditions do apply to everything that I say here, but most things from this middle keyboard. So any sound that I play from here, you're going to hear from back in the middle. Different sound. Different sound here. More here. So those are all from the middle here. Some of these facade pipes on the face of the organ do speak. You can see the wind hoses coming out of the bottom on this side. Not this side. We call those dummy pipes. They're just there to look pretty. But these ones, if I remember correctly, are the bottom over here. So they're the face of the organ and they're right in your face, or the facade. Okay, so that is the great division. It's in the front. There's nothing holding it back. You can hear it right here the whole time. Especially this bad boy, which I only use on Easter. Pretty noisy. So, let's go to this side. You can't see it, it's behind grow cloth. This is called the swell division. It is all of this, and they play here. So, we have lots of different sounds, which I'll go through in a minute, but what is fun about these sides is that I can control the volume with these pedals. So these open and close shutters, they go like this, and so we can have it fairly full volume. We'll just put on a bunch of sounds. And I can bring it down, or back up. Or anything in between. So that's the swell side. Then we have this side. That's called the choir. I don't know if you can see, but they're also labeled here. So that's these 2 sets of stop tabs. They go to the pipes in there. And just different sounds for different reasons. We'll throw that one on too. And they also have their own set of shades controlled by this pedal. Bring it down, back up, and anything in between. Now, if you'll notice, there are actually 3 pedals. So the one, my hair's on the microphone. The one to the right is called the crescendo pedal. I actually have to program it to get it to work. Okay. So with that, I can have nothing on, right? Everything is turned off. Nothing. And then this will bring it up to full organ. So it's going to get loud. Just by moving that pedal. I don't have to push any buttons, any stops. It just, that's a different programming thing.
So when you say full organ, it's all...
Pulling out all the stops. It's essentially, there's a button to get straight there called Tutti. Sometimes we call it Tutti Frutti. That's everything. So brace yourself. A lot of noise. Okay, so let's go on what I like to call a tonal tour, right? So not every set of these pipes sounds the same. That would be really boring. And what's the point of having a bunch of different sets if they just sound the same and are going to get louder? So we have lots of different colors, lots of different constructions. And I brought some down for a little show and tell. So we're going to start up here with a viola da gamba. I don't know if many of you know, I'm also a violist. That's what I started my undergrad for. I'll be playing in a couple weeks at the Men's Choir Sunday. But this is what we would call a string stop. So it's meant to imitate a string instrument. This one is particularly skinny, pretty keen, pretty nasally. Many string stops are bigger than this, but since it is so small, and I'm not going to bore you with the technicalities of construction, but just know that when we tune pipes, we're affecting the length of it, right? But then all the different overtones, the different sounds, the different colors come from proportions here at the mouth. So the mouth is very delicate. So if I hand around the pipe, just don't touch this part. You can touch down here, up here, don't touch that. But pretty nasally. It sounds, like a string. So I'll hand this around for you to look at. Bottom, top, yeah. So string will sound like this. And oftentimes, string ranks will also have what's called an undulating rank. So you know how on strings you'll see the hand move and vibrate the string a little bit? We have pipes that do that. They are tuned just a little bit out of tune on purpose to sound shimmery and warm it up a little bit. So here's one by itself with the undulating rank. It beats on purpose, it warms it up. Okay, next thing we're going to talk about will be what are called diapasons. This sound is unique to organs. There's not another instrument in the world that has a diapason sound. It is your typical pipe sound. When you look at these, those are your diapasons. Diapason, D-I-A-P-A-S-O-N. Also known as principals, but yeah, so that is the organ sound. We have a few on this instrument. So this is the one from up here. This set of pipes that I'm about to play used to be a flute stop, and then it got revoiced, so proportions got changed around when it was put in here to sound more like a diapason sound. That's the one in there. The one here in front sounds like this. And the one over here sounds like this. We also have one in the pedal. Just to add it up a little bit. Okay, that's a really good question. So the pedals,
Repeat the question.
how does the foot pedal or the pedal board interact with everything else? It has its own ranks, and it also has some that are borrowed from these are what we call manual divisions, what you play with your hands. But it doesn't have its own room. Most of the pedal lives in there, on the back wall. On the back wall. Some of it lives in here right along this wall, and some of it lives in there on the back. I don't know if you can see those big wood pipes in the back. Those are pedal pipes. So they're kind of scattered and borrowed. They're thrown in there where they fit. This, for instance, is only in the pedal. It's loud. Okay. So they're just thrown in there. It's a whole other keyboard that I get to put with my feet. And we'll get to what all of these do in a minute. There's just a lot of buttons. Yes? No. She asked if the pipes in the side rooms look just like the ones that we can see, and no, some of them do. So when I say it's a rank of pipes, that's a set of pipes, right? So one for each key. There are exceptions, we'll get to those. So the next type of pipe we want to talk about is called a flute pipe. These sound like flutes. Different size flutes, different length of flutes. This is a flute that's right in here. It's those wood pipes towards the back. And then here's another set. This one looks like it would be in the grate in here. That's a lie. It's over there. And here's another flute sound. And one more just for fun. So very fluty, very pleasant, easy to listen to, soft and sweet, and is not going to offend anybody. Hopefully. Okay, so that's our flutes. Here we have some examples. This one we call a roar flute, or a chimney flute, because it has a little chimney on it. This little cap, I'm not going to pull all the way off. I will tune these when I put them back in. The tuning is affected by moving the cap up and down. So that keeps it from beating, keeps it in tune. So when I say something's out of tune, you can hear it. It sounds like the organ's screaming a little bit, just with lots and lots of beating, especially when you get in the upper registers. Which is pleasant, cute little flute. That's one example. We have another flute pipe that looks completely different, made from wood, tuned with a scroll at the top. This is called a harmonic flute, so it is actually twice as long as what another flute of the same pitch would be, and it has a hole drilled in the middle. So you can kind of hear a whistling over top of it. Physics.
Is there a reed in there at all?
No, not in this one. Not in that one. We're going to get to reeds next. And then going back to diapasons, this is just a bigger one that I pulled down. So, just the organ sound. Yes, I blow in pipes all the time for my job. All the time. Okay. Next set of reeds we're going to talk about are reeds. So reed pipes, I'm going to show you before I play any of them. These are a bit more complicated. So the other pipes, the air comes up through the toe, goes through the mouth, and speaks through the column at the top. Pretty simple, like playing a flute. These little guys, this is called a reed pipe. This comes from our rank of clarinets. Sounds like a clarinet, pretty close to it. Reed pipes are a little bit more complicated. They have an extra contraption inside of them. So I'm going to walk this around instead of handing it around. So there's a brass tongue. The air comes up, vibrates on that, and then goes out. These are the problem children for organ tuners and voicers. They're difficult.
In tuning, would you, the copper,
The wire?
the wire, would you replace that on occasion, or is that not, do they not wear out?
Only if they get massively corroded. Like if there's water damage or the humidity is just out of control. These I can polish and make okay again. As long as they keep their tension on that little tongue right here, they're okay. The things that do get replaced are this little brass tongue. I'll often have to cut a new one, like if it's corroded or if something died in it, and then, which happens more often than you would think. Or if it just got messed with too much over the years, then I'll cut a new one, start from scratch. I'll show some more tools of how I do that later. But
you speak of humidity.
mm-hmm.
Do organs that are housed in areas that have high humidity have to be checked and tuned much more often?
She asked if organs that are in a high humidity environment need to be checked and tuned more often. Whether they should be, maybe, but also they tend to acclimate to the environment where they are. And organs dislike dryness more than humidity, if that makes sense. When it's overly dry, and tend to have more problems with that. The humidity, it depends. Things can corrode faster with humidity, but if we're on top of it with our twice yearly visits, it's usually fairly manageable. But that's a really good question. Humidity affects them, temperature affects them. They're fussy little things. These pipes also are very prone to anything falling in them. So if something falls in one of these pipes, like a bug, which is often the case, a piece of dirt, piece of plaster, a dust bunny, anything, if it falls in there, usually they'll still play. They'll sound weird, and it's easy to knock them out, but they'll still play. With these guys, if even a little hair, much less a spider, much less a bug leg, or anything gets in here, it will not play. And so we take it apart, clean it out, yell at it, tune it, and hope for the best.
And you can hear that.
Yeah, I can hear it. If there's a hair in there or something really small, it's like when you do something for years, you pick up on it. Okay, so let's play through the different reeds that we have on here.
How did you get trained to do this?
I learned on the job. So he asked how I got trained in this field. So I learned on the job. I was hired just to hold keys part-time while I was still in school. So somebody would be up in the chambers yelling down, next, 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 while I'm holding, for tuning the pipes. And then I was like, that sounds cool. And I like to climb up and, be in filthy, dirty places. And I don't know, it sounded fun. And so it was very annoying to my boss until I got trained. And, here we are 5 years later. And this is primarily what I do, is up there yelling at whoever's at the console with love. I do, unless it's really loud, and then I use a whistle. Okay, let's talk about reed sounds. We have a trumpet that I use mostly on Easter. Our trumpet is fairly fussy with tuning. And so I'll use it a lot right after we tune, and then sparingly. It's pretty noisy. Trumpet, we have an oboe. This is from, I actually don't know what instrument it comes from. I know it's from a 1926 instrument that was built by a builder up in Connecticut, but I don't know where the instrument was. I should find that out. But I use that every week. It just beefs things up and gives you a little bit more foundation to sing to. This is the same stop, but down an octave. Has some oomph to it. Here's that clarinet. Of all the clarinets that we service across our 5 states, I love this one. It is just lovely, it's tender, it's sweet, it behaves. It's a good clarinet. And then we have a couple of honkers in the pedal, mostly this one. So this trombone is an extension, is what we would say. It's part of the same set of pipes as the trumpet. It just goes bigger and longer to the bottom. Those are fun. So, is Glenda still here? I'll just do this without her. All right, so can you all see that there are numbers under what the stops are labeled? Those have to do with the length of the lowest pipe, the lowest pipe on any of these sets of pipes. So an 8, why did that play? I don't have anything on. Oh. That 8 means that from the mouth of the pipe to the top, 8 feet for the lowest one. Now, the highest pipe of that same rank is going to be about that long, speaking length, because they get smaller as they go. Glenda,
Yeah,
could you play a C major scale with me?
I sure can.
Okay, so 8-foot pipe length is piano pitch. It's the same. So if I've got middle C here, it's the same. Okay,
Well, you're not in tune, but anyhow, it sounded fine.
they're the same pitch. Now I've put on something with a 4, half. It's 1 octave higher. So it sounds the same, but it is higher. So it stacks a layer. You can hear it better, you can sing with it better, and it gets out there more. This 2 is an octave above that. Okay. Then here we've got a 16. It's an octave lower than piano pitch. And then here we have something called a compound stop. There is a Roman numeral 4 under where it says chorus mixture. 4 pipes for every 1 note. And those are stacked kind of like this. But for one key. So let's do that one, Glenda. So that's for volume and to fill out the sound. We have also what are called mutation rings. These have the fractions on them. Are many of you familiar with brass instruments? You play one, so you understand something called the harmonic series, where brass players can control what pitch they're playing on their horn without moving any of the valves or the slide or however their instrument operates, with their mouth shape and with how hard they blow. So the harmonic series, you'll hear them play through all of this with their mouth with not pushing any buttons or moving slides. All of those can be played on one. That is the point of all of these different pitches or different lengths of pipes, is to build on that harmonic series. It's a phenomenon in physics that somebody figured out thousands of years ago and just made it happen here. So let's do that on this. So it's the same note, same C, on keyboard. Let's do it. All the way through, it's just a completely different note. And we've got one more. Right? And so the point of those is to just build up color. And this is without the mutations. This is with them. They just add a little bit to it. Help you hear it better. And it just adds different colors. So different combinations. You'll hear this one today. Is totally different than just having it without that color on it. And so listen carefully, especially when I'm playing softer organ pieces. I'll often throw these in just to perk your ears up. Even if you don't understand what you're hearing, you'll hear like, oh, there's a sparkle on that. I wonder what that is. These are like the sprinkles on top. All right. I think that's basically it. So now let's talk about, this has nothing to do with what I do here. It's just fun to know. A big part of my other job as a pipe organ technician is that I do the voicing. So we'll have sets of ranks come through the shop. The client's not necessarily happy with how they sound, or they're messy, or they've had water damage, or they've had bugs die in them, or somebody changed the wind pressure, which I'll explain in a second. And so they come into my room, go across my stuff, and I mess with them to make them sound better. So I'll just show you some of the tools of the trade. We'll start at the beginning. Have any of you seen one of these? Probably not. It's a fun little toy. And we use it to check wind pressure. So we'll just stick it where the pipe came from, play the note that it would have been playing. It tells us what the wind pressure is, which, you know, how hard the wind comes out of the chest to play the pipe. Because you can't do anything with the pipe if you don't have it set at the right pressure, because you'll just do it wrong and then it goes back and it's no good.
So do all 8-foot pipes, for instance, have the same pressure? Or not all different?
No. Some of them will be as low as like 2 inches, and it's inches of water of pressure is how it's measured. No, some of them are very low pressure. There's an organ we take care of in Norman that has some pipes on 30 inches of pressure. So it's a wide range. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Boardwalk Hall up in Atlantic City, and some of their pipes are on 100 inches of pressure. So the pipes are literally tied down so they don't get blasted apart or knocked off of the wind chests when they're played. Well, it has to fill a whole stadium, but massively loud. Some of you have maybe seen me marching through here with this to go adjust a misbehaving pipe. This is what we call a tuning iron. So it has a nice balance point and many different angles for me to knock the pipes about. I'm going to fix this before the service starts, but use this, knock the collar up and down, and that's how we tune it. So this is very well worn, lots of missing pieces on it. And then, let's see. Will you say it again in the microphone?
You were talking about adjusting brightness up there on the keyboard. Mm-hmm. Can you adjust the brightness and change with the footboard as well?
So adjusting brightness and volume?
Yes.
You mean like with the pedals here?
No, I mean on the keyboard down there. You were pushing a couple of buttons up there. You were saying, well, we adjust half step here, and then you.
Oh, yeah, like the pitch levels. Like with how it matches up to a piano or anything? Yes, these have the same ones. We've got 8s, which is piano pitch, and then we have up to a 2. So they don't go as high as the manuals. Yes, same thing. But they will be lower. This looks like a billfold that you hold money in, and it's a billfold that I hold money in. So dollar bills are a very, very fine abrasive. So I actually use these to clean the reed pipes. So any debris, any dust, any little bit of schmutz that gets in there, put the dollar bill in, it cleans it right out without damaging anything. And also polishes it if it's not gone too far. Okay. I have a whole bundle here. All right, so I'm just going to give you a quick tour of the tools that I use to love on these pipes. This is called a toe gauge. I also have a bigger one. Poke these up through the toe on the bottom of the pipe, and it makes it get bigger, allows more air to come in, gets louder. So if we're at a tuning and we notice, hey, that pipe is not as loud as its neighbors, it kind of sticks out for being too quiet. We'll say, oh, it's thirsty, give it a little more wind. Pop it in the toe, it's good. These look like scissors because they are, but we use them to trim the tops of pipes. If we need it to get shorter because it will not come into tune, snip it, give it a haircut. This is a chisel that I made intentionally dull. We use it to take apart reed pipes without damaging anything. Teeny tiny hammer, which I will sometimes use even on pipes as small as this. If the mouth needs to be closed just a tiny bit, really, really itty bitty love taps. So this gives a lot of control to do just little bits of motion. That way I don't have to use my fingers to get more control out of just little taps. It's called little spatulas. Be fun, and we use these to adjust this. It's called the upper lip. So if you pull it out, the pipe gets quicker, more responsive, is much snappier, will have more articulation, so more of a k sound on the beginning of it. Push it in, it slows it down, muffles it. So just depending on the sound that you want for the whole set of pipes, that's what we go with. And then I have these itty bitty little things. Most of these are dental tools that I've ground down even smaller, like on a sanding wheel. And that's to get in the mouths of teeny, teeny, tiny pipes if they need to be opened at all. So we're talking the pipes that are the size of the pinky. These are the tools that we use, very, very, very small and fine. This is a tiny, tiny file. If anything gets stuck in those little reed pipes, you can use that to just scoop it out. It's pretty archaic. It looks, it is kind of like a dentist set. This is one of my favorite tools. This is fun. I use it with the hammer. So these, for example, we'll use it on here. So let's say this pipe is not responding how I want it to. Often, this little piece right here, called the languid, or think of it like the tongue of the pipe, will often start to smile over time as the metal gets tired, the metal gets fatigued. And so we'll often have to stick a big metal rod up the toe and whack on it. And then if we go too far, which you usually do, take this little guy, set it on top, and hammer it to level it out. And honestly, that's just fun.
What's the average amount of time you spend to tune or just do routine maintenance on the organ?
Depends on how big it is. He asked how long it takes to tune an organ. And it depends. So it depends on the budget of the church, how long we have, how bad the organ has gotten since we've been there the last time. But let's say we were to do a full tuning. This organ here has 29 ranks. If we're really on top of it, and if the temperature is not changing, and if the organ is behaving as it should and we want, it takes 5 to 10 minutes per rank. That's if we're flying. Usually it's more like 15 to 20 minutes per rank. So if we did a full tuning on this, it'd be about a day. But we usually spend half a day because it's not terrible. All right, and that's about it. I have an X-Acto blade and tweezers as well. So that's pretty much all I have as far as the organ, so I'll take any questions.
And please use the microphone for the questions.
I have two questions.
Okay.
The first one has to do with the air. When I was a teenager, I played a pump organ for a small church in Perry, Oklahoma. And they were so proud of themselves because they had attached it to a vacuum cleaner, which when you turned on the vacuum cleaner, took the pump necessity away. I don't know where your air comes from here, and can you turn on the air at the organ itself, or are there other switches that have to be on?
That's a really good question. I turn it on right here. I just turned it off, so you heard that click. That was the power supply going off. But the blower, which generates all of the wind, it's an engine, and then the engine goes into a massive fan that just circulates all of the wind necessary, is on this side. It's just up beyond there, so you'll be able to hear it when I turn it back on. I have to let it cycle down. But yes, it's up here and it's controlled here.
Do we have cleansing of some kind so that the dust from Oklahoma doesn't get into your organ?
I don't think so, but this is really the cleanest organ that we take care of. There are no vents up there, which is, a pro and a con. A pro is that dust doesn't get on. A con is that temperature control is difficult, which makes tuning a little hard when it gets really hot out or when it's really cold out, since they're on outside walls. But the pro of that is really a lack of dust. And this church in general is very clean and not dusty.
My other question has to do with your work.
Okay.
Again, small town Oklahoma, we had in the Methodist church an organ twice this size. It was an amazing organ. There was only one tuner in the state who was in Oklahoma City who could tune that organ to the satisfaction of our organist. And so we always scheduled 5 years out because
5 years.
Because it was so hard to get on his calendar that we had a yearly or a semi-annual tuning already scheduled 5 years out because we wanted on his schedule.
Right.
How many do we have adequate organ tuners, or are you still in demand all the time?
We have over 200 clients for 5 of us.
We have a what?
Our company has over 200 clients, and there are 5 of us.
Oh my gosh.
So, high demand.
How did you get the connection to? I've heard the Mormon organ, and it is unbelievable. I was so impressed when I saw you were going out there to tune.
Well, we weren't tuning. We were doing a rebuild. So we were taking parts out of the organ to get rebuilt. So the organ is 1/3 of it is out of order, which means all of it is out of order for now. But you know how people have friends? Sometimes the companies in the organ world are also friends with each other. So I have been subcontracted out many times on bigger projects with other companies, and that was an instance of that. So like we all kind of know each other, and people get handpicked from other companies to come and help on big projects. That's how that happened. So we knew the people who were doing it, and they asked me to come join. And we said yes, yeah. Other questions?
How much is electronics moving into the world with oscilloscopes and those kind of things? I should be able to measure sounds and use that to tell me what's wrong with a piece of equipment.
That's a good question. I will say I'm getting better at the electronics of this. It is not my area of expertise. I do more of what we call the tonal work, which is the pipes themselves and tuning. We use oscilloscopes with diagnosing problems on the relay. So the relay is like the brain of the organ. The information comes from here, passes through the relay, and then goes out to the pipes. So if we have problems there, somebody who knows what they're doing with it will use the oscilloscope. It's a huge part of it. It's just not the part that I know how to do very much. Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you.
I'm always available, and I love to talk about what I do. So I also have an Instagram page where I post videos of me bopping around in organs, and then I always share that to my Facebook page also if you just want to see videos set to music of what I'm doing in other places.
So to add on to what We talked last week about my journey. I took organ for 5 years, hated every minute of it, so I think she's the most magical person in the world. Okay, you ready? Thank you all.
Thank you.